Welcome to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm Nicole Eaton, author of the books Rock Your Soul and Rock Your Comeback, as well as an intuitive therapist, and I'm here to remind you of your power. This podcast focuses on mindset and inviting the universe in to create a life that feels so good, so aligned, and so authentic. I hope you're ready. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, and today's episode is all about energy and energy clearing, how to get your energy right, ways it's blocking you, and all about cord cutting to separate your energy from other people. So I want to hear all that you think about that. Any questions you have, make sure to shoot me a DM. And I have a really special announcement. Next week, I'm officially dropping the pre-sale for my book, Rock Your Comeback. So you'll be able to get first on the list with some special deals to get the copy of my book that I have put my whole heart and soul into. And I really, really think you guys are going to love it. Yeah. And if you are a year member on the Comeback Club, you're going to get it to your door automatically. So that's also another perk if you want to get a twofer. If you're thinking about buying the book and you want to check out the Comeback Club, make sure you get signed up at NicoleEaton.com/pages/the Comeback Club. I will drop all the links in the bio so that if you're watching this after it's released, that there's a very good chance that you can pick up your book. And that's so exciting to me because, again, I'm so passionate about it. It has everything in it to help you reclaim your power and step back into your power no matter where you're starting. And I really has something in it for everyone, for every phase of your comeback and your healing. And I'm so fucking excited to share it with you guys. So you can support this podcast by leaving a review, screenshot and sharing, sending it to someone you love. And as always, letting me know what you think. It really, really matters. And I'm so grateful for everyone who listens every week. It means the world to me. I hope you love this one too. Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm here again with another Comeback Corner episode. And if you're like, what is the Comeback Corner episodes? It's where I invite my favorite guest host, Heather Maio. She is a two-time gym owner, host of the Magic Mindset podcast, and author of Not Another Diet book. And we have a great time. We have great conversations.
We have the best conversations. I look forward to these every single time.
I know. And I always listen to them back and I'm like, we just get going. And I always listen to them back. I'm like, God, I hope any of that made sense because we just get on our little tangents and stuff. And they always are like, oh, wow. I'm like taking notes during our stuff. So what I'm saying is you're going to want to save this episode. You're going to want to share it with friends because it's going to get real good. And I just feel it in my bones.
Oh, and especially this one. I mean, we were kind of chatting beforehand. This is a topic that I feel like is always timely, no matter what season of life we are in or season of year we are in.
And I think, so today we're going to talk about taking on other people's energy. So if you are somebody who's ever been around a lot of people and just felt like, whoosh, I feel like I took on their anxiety. I feel like I took on, their sadness or their anger. Like if you're easily prone to feeling what other people are feeling, this episode is for you because Heather and I were talking about this beforehand. I went to a 4th of July getaway with about 20 to 30 people, 27, I think was the final count, and lived in a house for 5 days. And now normally as like an empathic person, I would say, do not do that to yourself. But I was like, you know what? I've got my own bathroom. I've got my own bedroom. I've got my own balcony. Sounds perfect. I can go to bed whenever I want. I'm going to give myself permission to do that. And to be perfectly honest, I was able to keep my energy pretty good, but I still got taken out a little. And I think that's the important thing to say is that even if you're really good at protecting your energy, you might still pick up on energy. Even if you do all the things, you might still pick up on energy. So we're going to talk about that. Like, what do we do? How do we fix it? And what I'm wondering, like for you, I know you've mentioned that that's been going on a lot for you lately as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I just had a conversation with my daughter about this, about identifying as being somebody who's empathic. And I don't like to identify as that because I don't want to take on something that I necessarily don't want to be. And I've been burned by being an empath before. And I think that's a lot of people's experience is it can be very heavy and very draining when you don't know what to do with it. And so at this point of my life, and especially in the work that we're in, you're working with a lot of people. I'm working with a lot of people. I'm at the gym, and the gym is an amazing place to shed energy, but also that means there's a lot of energy there,
Yep.
so it is something I try to be really, really conscious of. And obviously the main thing for me is taking time alone in my own energy, or just within the energy of my box, my 4 people, my husband and my 3 children. But showering,
Yeah. Yeah.
exercising, mine are very, very practical and very rooted in like grounding practices. I don't do a ton with sage. I want to start doing more with it, especially because I feel like sometimes I'm more open than I would like to be.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to hear how yours are. But I also have to just consciously remind myself in those situations where, energy is being kind of bled out in the room and in the environment or in conversation, to really just repeat to myself over and over, this isn't mine. This isn't mine. This isn't mine, because it can feel really heavy and, to be honest, really triggering, I think.
Yeah. And sometimes it comes out of the blue. And I love what you said about just, I don't want to label myself as an empath. And I think it's important. Like we talk a lot about not identifying as things. Here's what I think is important. It's not that you have to throw a label on it. It's that you have to have the awareness that you feeling really shut down, overwhelmed, burnt out, sad, angry, upset may not be directly from your thoughts, behaviors, and actions. Like that's the key for me. Like even when we talk about astrology and retrogrades and stuff like that, it's not that you have to cave into it being a life sentence or it being what has to happen. It's an awareness and developing an awareness that, ooh, maybe if I'm feeling totally like taken out and I just don't even want to be around people, it's not even about me personally. Maybe it is, but like it's just gaining the awareness that, ooh, energy does play a role in my life. And what do I want to do with it? I'm curious if you shower using lavender ever.
I have, and I
Okay.
need to start bringing it back in, I mean, it wasn't like I bought some like special thing, but it was suggested to me. Honestly, I think it was Christy. I don't know where I came across the recommendation for it, but I was like, oh, and then I saw it, in like Wegmans or something. And
Yeah.
so brought it into, I do try to sprinkle some essential oil on my pillow when I go to sleep to kind of help clear me, lavender when I try to clear me out a little bit.
So I was like 2 years old ago.
Mhm.
That didn't quite work how I was thinking in my head. I was today years old when I found out that lavender is a personal energy clearing agent when you rub it on your skin.
Hmm.
So I had that conversation with Chris Stilson.
Mhm.
He's a psychic medium in New York, and he was like, "Do you ever do this on your skin?" And I'm like, I've never even like considered putting lavender, like washing with lavender as an additional energy cleanser. But that's brilliant. Like that's such a good idea to do, especially if you like, I'm all for like a lazy girl hack when it comes to taking care of your energy, your mind, and your body. So for me, like being able to double up on something I'm washing with and throwing a little bit of lavender in it. Yes, I'll do it to be able to make it really easy for yourself. Like plan on making it easy and doing things that you feasibly know you'll do, because if you're trying to create this whole long energy clearing thing per day, you're less likely to do it. And then you're still getting inundated with all of this energy. So finding simple hacks like maybe including lavender or something along those lines might help.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And something that we talk about all the time, just for me, remembering to set the intention before I do something. Like even just when I'm getting into the shower with nothing else going on, just saying I'm setting the intention that I am also clearing away any energetic baggage that is not mine or is not serving me. When I cannonball into the pool,
Yes.
to
Yes.
also just let, okay, like I'm letting this go right now. I think that's really helpful to me, just to remind myself of, okay, we're shedding right now.
Well, and something as simple as I used to go hiking a lot in the gorge in Watkins Glen. So I know you know where that is, but for anybody who isn't familiar, it's like a big waterfall place. It's tons of waterfalls, a lot of flowing water, really cool energy. But I would take all of my bad energy, bad thoughts, and I would just envision them going into like a rock and I would chuck it over the waterfall. And you can do this with a regular rock. Don't hurt anybody with it. We don't want to hold any responsibility for that. But you can do that. You can throw it. You can throw it in a body of water. You can run it through running water or like through a river or something. But you could also pour it into the rock or even like a little acorn and then bury it. So there's a lot of ways you can get rid of energy when it feels heavy or bad or even not yours that doesn't take a lot of effort or work, but just the intention. So cannonballing into the pool, showering and using lavender, just using the intention of letting it be clear and letting it be easy, I think has a really massively helpful things so that you're not getting taken out by other people's energy. Because like I said, even with all of the things that I was doing, I still felt like a little overwhelmed or a little like shut down. And I definitely went to bed way before everybody else every night, just because I know for me, I feel best when I sleep. Other people can be night owls, but it's not going to be me.
Yeah.
So it's important, but even just simple things as like, my husband was having a lot of anxiety at work today. And halfway through the day, I just started feeling really, really anxious. And I was like, I don't really have enough going on right this second. Like, there are definitely some things that aren't working, but I really don't have enough going on at this second to like feel this like heart pounding anxiety that I'm feeling right now. I'm going to envision this going into the ground. I don't know. I'm not even going to send it back to whoever it is. I'm just going to envision it leaving my body. So getting intentional, but having the awareness that that's even impacting you because it does. Energy is energy. And the more open we are, the more we are kind of an open place for that to land.
Right, right. And especially, and I'm sure there's so many people listening who, like us, are natural helpers and fixers and people who want to see other people, performing at their best and feeling at their best and living at their best. And so when you are that type of person, I feel like it can be even more emotionally taxing because you can see where other people are maybe being their own block. And I feel like for me personally, that's a double hit of like, I feel their energy. And then I also feel the frustration of, wanting to just get in there and do it for them. And then that's another emotional load that can be taken on top of it, which is, it can be challenging, to navigate, especially in like relationships like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's hard, especially the closer we are, the more I think we subconsciously pick up on energy. And I think
Yeah.
that's true for even people who don't identify as being more of an energetically sensitive person. I think it's like if you're close with your mom, you feel your mom's energy. If you're close with your
Yeah.
best friend, you feel your best friend's energy. I know my friends live, a couple of them live all the way up in New York. And it's like, I know when my friend Sam's not right. Like, I just know, it doesn't take an intuitive to know. You
Yeah.
just feel when people you love aren't right. So, I mean, definitely all of these things, like we're talking about, the basis of it is intention. So I really like to use sage and Palo Santo. I know you were saying that you'd like to do more of that. But I really love sage and Palo Santo. For me, it's kind of like energy is really good. And when I'm in a strong feeling spot, it's easier for me to envision like the energy I'm putting out clearing stuff. So I can envision the whole room filled with light and feeling it clear. When I don't feel powerful, having an outside agent do it for me or do it with me helps. So with Sage and Palo Santo, you're just going to light them. I like to do sage first, and I like to use sage for a room, and I like to use Palo Santo for my personal energy. So I often will go back through the room I just saged with Palo Santo, and I'll open a little window, and I'll just set the intention of all of the negative or low energy going out the window. And it just feels lighter. And it's so funny because I would say my husband is somebody who's not super energetically sensitive, or at least isn't as aware, but he knows when I sage the house. the kids know when I sage the house. Everybody knows like why it feels really good in here today. I'm like, okay, well, we had some crappy energy. We had to get out of this space. So yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I'm gonna pour some liquid sage into my countertop cleaner after we get off
Ooh.
the call.
I also like, and I don't sell Young Living, but I love, like, if you can't burn something in your space, some apartments, some office spaces, you cannot like light
Mhm.
something. So
Yeah.
you can still do sage essential oil. And I also really love Young Living's White Angelica,
Mm.
my favorite. I don't really love the grounding oils. They don't they don't have the same effect for me personally. I'm sure they do for other people, but like for me personally, White Angelica and sage spray. So when I go on vacation, I actually take that with me. And if you're traveling on the plane, the life hack is put a couple drops in the bottom and don't fill it up with water so that you can get it on the plane without getting, flagged for having a bottle of something. But that is a great way to make sure that the energy that you're sleeping in is clear, because you don't want to sleep in other people's energy. And somebody, when I posted about what I pack as an empath when I travel on my Instagram, and somebody said, yeah, you're not even considering the amount of energetic debris from people sleeping in that space, like on that mattress, on that pillow. Like we leave energetic marks wherever we go. So if you're going to some place where other people have clearly slept before, you just want to be mindful about that, clearing the space, making sure it feels more like you.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, it's like there's no possible way in which there's a downside to, even if you don't think that you're somebody who picks up on it, just having a little bit more intention there, like especially if you're traveling and you want to have like such a great time, why wouldn't you want to clear it out and let yourself kind of be refreshed? Or if you're traveling because you have a big work meeting, like why wouldn't you want to clear it out to kind of like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I leave my shit there and I'm able to do so because there's nobody else is impeding upon that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a good conversation because, like you said, even if you're not energetically sensitive, when you start just playing with energy or energy clearing, you might notice it. And when I talk about energy, I'm talking about mood. I'm
Yeah.
talking about how you feel. I'm talking about just that internal, like, ugh, that you get when you are feeling heavy or feeling weighed down. So if you're like, I don't even know what energy means, I don't know what heavy, like what you're talking about when you're saying heaviness, which I feel like most people do, even if they don't
Yeah.
admit it. Think about your mood. If you're in just an irritable or bad mood and you don't have a real reason to be, that's like one of the biggest red flags that that's energy. And that's just something that you can clear. And again, I think it's really good to know, because if I'm feeling burnout and I didn't really do much, probably energy. If I'm feeling really bummed out and there's nothing that's happened in the last like 42 hours, 48 hours that like has led to that, probably energy. It just gives us a path to stop taking every single emotion personally and feeling like we have to fix this emotion for no real reason, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it lets us, like for me, I will catch myself if I'm in a place where the energy is heavy, whether that be my personal energy or things that I am picking up on because of loved ones or, whatever situation. I like to, I try to remind myself as much as possible, like, how am I showing up in it so I don't sink into it? Because it is so easy to kind of fall into those traps of the negative energy of like, oh, did you hear so and so did this, or the gossiping or the rumors or the shit talking. And once you're there, I mean, we get that temporary like dopamine rush from it, and it creates something in us. And so it can be really, really tempting. And so those are also the times where I try to be like hyper vigilant of what I am saying and how it is going to taste after I say it. Like yesterday, I was feeling heavy because of a text conversation that I was having. And I found myself later on in the day wanting to bitch about somebody and wanting to send a text message to other people about this situation. I'm like, whoa, this is exactly what put me in that funk, the same exact situation. And now I'm going to be doing the same verbal diarrhea
Yeah.
and so it's also like, I have to be very conscious of that because I never want to, for my own karma's sake, spread that. But I also don't want to I know how it can feel to other people. And so being aware of like, okay, do I really need to vent? And I'm saying that in quotations for everybody listening, or am I just bitching because I think it would feel good? And it's like, yeah, well, I'm just bitching. So I just need to kindly shut the fuck up and do something else that will actually make me feel better, which can be as simple as like going inside, taking a couple deep breaths, getting a drink of water, resetting myself, and, moving on with my day.
It's so easy to like cave into that negativity, especially when we're not feeling 100%, and, just getting caught in the other energies. And I also think that's especially prevalent when there's alcohol involved. I know we've talked about alcohol on this podcast more times than I can count, but I think it's important to also pay attention to the contribution of your energy that alcohol is doing. When we're talking about energy, we're talking about a clear space. And for me, like, I love a good drink. I'm not a sober person, but I'm very cognizant and aware of the times I should not be drinking. And if I'm at all off, I should not be drinking. I should never be drinking to like opening my energy when I'm already low. So thinking about how you're contributing to your own energy field, like one of the things that I notice is when I'm in a really good place, not much can touch me. To be perfectly honest, like when I'm doing my work, when I'm in my mood, when I'm aligned with myself, when I'm taking really good care of myself, it's almost like I'm better at being an observer of the energy rather than taking it on. And I really feel like it's like nothing can touch me when I'm up there. And so like don't forget your personal self-care, your personal attendance to who you are and to what you feel and need. That matters just as much as all of the other stuff we're talking about. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're also at a vibrational match to the shit you don't want, to the gossip, to the alcohol, to the whatever.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because, and this is kind of my beef with like the word empathic, is it can also become another excuse that we put on for just feeling shitty. And it's like, no, 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 no. Yes, you are picking up, but what are you doing to help it? What are you doing to close yourself off to it? If this is not serving you, how can you, I create a bubble around myself before I go in certain situations because I don't want to pick up on that. I know that I need to do those things. I have to be aware of that. And so if you are somebody who really identifies to that term, I think it's really important to also say, okay, and now what am I going to do to make sure that this is a strength that I have? I can use it to, make me feel better in life and empower me to feel really, really good, because there is a huge benefit there. If you are somebody who is truly empathic, when somebody's having a great day, when somebody's having a great win, when somebody's energy is really high, you get that benefit too. You can celebrate with them. You can vibe with them. Unfortunately, we tend to only think about it in the negative way. And so if we're only thinking about it in the negative way, then that to me was a really good bullshit caller of, oh, okay, I need to do some work here around what I am picking up or what I am identifying, and make sure that, I am also being aware of my energy coming into the situation as well.
And you can be intentional about pulling other people's energy. If you have somebody who makes you feel really, really good, I love to listen to a lot of different people, but Amanda Francis's work from like 2017, 2018. I know that's a very specific timeline, but I think people's energy resonates and changes for different audiences. And her stuff from 2017 and 2018, that like time frame, feels so good to me. Like just, I love to hear her riff on things. I love to hear her mindset on things, and I can pull into that energy so easily, and it just pulls me up and out of my bullshit. So you can plug into somebody who makes you feel good, whether it's Heather's podcast, whether it's this, like you can choose to find energy that feels good and empowering and enlightening, and it helps you see things and feel things from a different perspective, because we can use the energy as much for the bad as we can, for the good. So yeah, I love that idea.
Absolutely. And music too. For me, I'm like, there are certain songs that I can put on that will drop me into the most vibrant energy, like almost instantly at this point. And everybody has those songs that they just connect to, where it's like, allow yourself to get a little weird with it. Like I like to imagine, and like I said, in the same way where we can drop into like, oh my gosh, that must feel so horrible. I like to imagine, how did they feel when they were writing this song? The first time they performed it, how did it feel to hear other people connecting with something that you created, like using your empathic abilities to drop into like that high vibrational, like is just it's such a fun way to help shift your mood up to make your day better. Like I love to do that at the end of the workout. I'll plug in one or two songs and
Yeah.
I know, okay, I'm going to have the best day now because you can shift yourself up that quickly.
What's your songs?
Okay. So this is niche, but I swear to you, if this song, I have a few of them and some of them make no sense, but the one that I've consistently gone to, and you have to watch it on YouTube too, but you have to watch Heart perform Stairway to Heaven. They did it when they were being inducted into, and now it's now, of course, it's escaping me, but if you Google Heart Stairway to Heaven and watch the performance, like it's visceral, the reaction that you will have. I swear to you, I make everybody watch it.
I'm
But
gonna watch it. I'm gonna, that's my task
it is
for later.
just like, you can see there's so many different emotions in the, you have to watch that. It's the same way I could watch, I've been lucky enough to see Hamilton 4 times. I'm sorry, 4 times. And my husband's like, why do you want to keep, what it is? I'm like, dude, it's the energy. It's the energy.
Such good energy.
It's just the,
So much fun.
right. Like, and so, all that to say, everybody will have that one thing that's going to make them feel that reaction. Keep it in your back pocket because you see how excited I get just talking about it.
I know I'm like feeling all your energy over there. It's so passionate. Yeah. So, and even like a memory, I'm just thinking, I was like, what would mine be? But there's a song called The Blessing by Elevation Church.
Okay.
And so again, very niche. I'm not somebody who goes around listening to gospel very often, but I was actually at this sermon and they came out on stage and they're like, we wrote this song 2 days ago. We just want to see what you guys think, how you feel about it. They kept singing this song and the chorus is kind of along the lines of like, basically like may the paths clear in your favor. Like that's the whole idea, like song. If you listen to it, it's like, may everything before you and after you culminate to this moment, all the paths clear around you. And this song just hit people in the most genuine spot. I mean, they circled the song for probably about 10 minutes straight. And so if you ever listen to the live, I was actually there because they took that performance and they just sent it out because they didn't have time to stop in a studio and record it. And it was just this feeling of like, the ability to write a song in 2 days and have people feel like that when you're done with writing a song, but also just that feeling of like, I'm so supported. I'm so loved. I'm so taken care of. Everything is happening for me. Everything is aligning for me and in my favor. And, yeah. So, I mean, that's a song that every time I hear, I'm like, nope, I'm good. Like you can pull from a memory as much as you can pull from a song. And maybe a song reminds you of a good time in your life. And that's, even if it's not the lyrics to the song, even if they're not elevated lyrics, maybe it's a 50 Cent from back in the day, whatever song, feeling, the person that you can plug into that's going to raise your energy up. Again, like all we're really trying to do is to get you into a place where you're not susceptible or that you're aware that you are and then move out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And being okay, identifying with the good and, when needed, making sure that I think boundaries for empathic people are excruciatingly important. And sometimes we have the hardest time setting them, right? Because I want to hear, I want to fix, I want to tell, like, so boundaries are really helpful. And I think the thing that we can forget too is honesty. It is really helpful because if we're taking on something and we have to also like be okay closing that conversation or speaking our truth in that conversation. So it's not like we're taking on excess energy and the load of everything we wanted to say or should have said, or, all that stuff too. So it's really, there's a lot of work that goes into it, but what's the alternative, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the alternative is feeling like shit. I mean, that's the issue with energy, is not that it's bad or good. Otherwise, we don't have to label it as something along those lines. We can simply just recognize like, oh, it doesn't feel good and I don't like not feeling good and I prioritize feeling well. That's just who I am. I'm somebody who prioritizes feeling well. And so if I'm going to feel well, what do I need to do? And at any given point, different energy practices will work for you in different ways. So I used to feel like the only way I was energetically protected is if I did a long meditation that led and ended with me filling myself up with light and putting all these little gatekeeper things up. And at some point I was like, what if I just decide I'm protected? What if I just know I'm part of the universe and the universe protects me? And what if only needing to invite it in helps, and that's enough? And so I started to I do manifestation writing daily anyway. So I started to start with that idea of I'm so grateful to be divinely and energetically protected, balanced, and clear. And I didn't feel the need to do a formal energy clearing in the same way that I used to. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I feel funky and I need to, exercise or need to like do a little like actual energy clearing. But for the most part, I usually just set a strong intention that I am taken care of, that I am supported, that I am divinely protected. And I really feel that in my bones. And I feel like that matters too. So you can do as much or as little when it comes to your energy as you feel called to do.
Yeah. So I stole something from you that's been really helpful to me. You had mentioned, I don't know if it's in one of our podcasts or if it was a podcast that you did on your own that I listened to, but you spoke about confidence and like walking into a room and sending out light, like sending out light into the room and being a beacon of light into the room to feel better in the space. And I loved that. I don't struggle with confidence, but I can, like I said, I struggle with energy in a lot of big situations. And
Yeah.
so I basically took that, but I envisioned my intention for the evening going to everybody else without me having to verbalize and go into everybody saying, listen, tonight, I don't want to talk about this. And I don't want to talk about this because it feels shitty or, whatever. We don't have to have those conversations. I just walk into the space, whether that be a dinner or a party or whatever, envisioning them feeling my intention to have the type of evening I want to have. And obviously that's an evening that's fun and refreshing and restorative. And everybody walks away from feeling really, really good. And it's made a big difference. And maybe the only difference is I am carrying myself differently, but whatever, I don't care. It's working,
We don't have to figure out what it is.
Right. Like
we just let it work and we keep doing it for sure.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen. And I love it because it can be as big or as little. It can be just us in this sitting at this table, or it can be the whole entire room and all those quick conversations of, hey, how you doing? It can be whatever it needs to be for that situation.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that reminder to me, from me to you. But I do love that reminder because I think, like I said, sometimes I pick up habits with energy and protecting my energy that are different now than they were then. Or an Epsom salt bath is always my go-to, by the way. Like that will forever be my like landing spot when I feel a little extra heavy. I throw myself in an Epsom salt bath, sage the area, and then just shift my mindset, because your mind also produces energy. We're talking about this in regards to taking out other people's energy, but just helps you shift perspectives and shift your energy that you're creating. But Epsom salt bath, 100 times over. Do you ever do cord cutting?
Yeah. So like I said, right now, I want to do it.
I want to do it
with people I love. Yeah, I've only used, okay, that's not true. I've used it initially. I think how most people use it when you want to sever a connection completely, which I think is incredibly powerful and incredibly beneficial. I'm dabbling with it now personally in relationships, which I don't want severed, but I need some sort of energetic blocker there because it can be really, really heavy when we see people we love struggling, you know, and for me, I was such a queen of bullshit. My bullshit, I was the thing standing in my way for so many years. I was the person, it's like that meme, like, who's the one messing up my life? And then they pull the hat off and it's him. And I'm like, that was me. And so now that can be very triggering to me because, you know, I hate seeing it with people I love because I know what it feels like and I know how hard it is and I know how, you know, and so it's like those situations, I really just want to get in there and be like, let me fix it for you.
I know. Yeah.
You know, you can't do that. And I know I'm not alone in that. You know, I think anybody who's a natural nurturer we want to fix it. Right. And so I want a cord cut for those type situations now.
Yeah. What is your practice with cord cutting? Because like, so for anybody who's like, what is cord cutting? What are you guys talking about? We're a little further down the rabbit hole right now because for cord cutting, what that really is like, you know how we were talking about sometimes when you're really close with people, you pick up on their stuff a lot quicker than anybody else, and partly due to what they call energetic cords. So that's the idea that you are kind of glued into another person essentially with a cord of energy that goes between you to create quick transfers of energy. So people you are close with, intimate with, all of that are more likely to have cords connected to them. You will know if you're hearing this and you're thinking of somebody, that is your sign that that is your person, that maybe you need to think about the cord. Cords aren't good or bad. They just are. Cutting cords doesn't sever the relationship. Cutting cords doesn't do anything other than stop you from being taken over by their energy that they're experiencing. And it doesn't mean you don't love them. And it doesn't mean that anything. It doesn't mean anything. It just is basically like, I don't want to feel this negative energy coming from this person because it's not mine and I can't control it. I'm going to just sever this cord so they can deal with that. It will relink probably if you keep talking to them, but it's just an awareness that your energy might be like tied into somebody else, and that you can let that go. So I actually really like, and a lot of people I'm going to get some hate for this, but Doreen Virtue has a cord cutting meditation that she did a long time ago, and it's on YouTube, and it's like cord cutting with the angels. That is my go-to cord cutting video. I've tried other ones, and that's the one that does it for me. So before she denounced all of the work she's been doing for the last 20 years, she did this cord cutting video, and I really, really love that. I also like, if it's somebody really toxic, putting their name into ice and freezing that, kind of just envisioning that freeze around it, or putting their name into salt, like a bunch of salt, sea salt. You can kind of just basically set the intention that their energy is cleared in their own and not near you, basically.
Yeah. So sea salt is the one that I've done. I try to find the black sea salt, but you can't always find it. And so I will use my bougie pink Himalayan salt that I sprinkle on my sea bath and write the name down and put it in the little box and and it's funny because sometimes I'll forget like where they are. Like I had one in my garage and my son found it. He's like, what is this? Like that can go in the garbage.
Mom's weird witchy shit.
It's done it. But I swear to you, every single time I've done that, it has been powerful. And I have done that only in one time, but there's been most of the time it's like, I need this situation over with. There was one time with an individual whom I love, who is still very, very much in my life, but there was just things happening that I couldn't be a part of. And so I put that individual with the intention of just, that situation, and it cleared up. Like it really, really did clear up majorly.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. So don't underestimate the power of, again, simple life hacks. If you don't want to do any of the formal cord cutting, just put the name of the person in some sea salt, put it away from you. Some people bury it into the earth. Some people freeze it in the back of their fridge, or freezer. And so just finding something that works for you. Like we gave you a lot of things to consider today. And I like that because I like tools, and I like a ton of tools because I like to sit and say, what one sounds interesting or sounds most like something I would do. And that's what I would love for you to do with any podcast we do, but also just for you to choose and decide what's most aligned with you and what tactics and techniques are best for you. So yeah, I think this is going to help a lot of people because, again, your job is just to pay attention to your mood. Was I feeling this before I was around this person? Am I feeling this out of the blue? Do I feel burnout and don't have a real reason to? You're probably getting your energy siphoned. So do some intentions, do some cord cutting, do some visualizing, whatever felt like the most aligned thing for you today. That's your thing. And if you try it and you don't really feel anything or experience anything, you try something else. It's
Yeah.
that easy.
Yeah. And remind yourself, like, you can cut the cord, so to speak, or literally with people you love and still very much be in their energy field and in their lives. I think it can be, sometimes we can get confused because we feel like, well, if I don't take on their shit, if I don't listen, if I don't do that, then I'm not there to help them. And that's just not true. It allows you, I feel, an opportunity to be more of service to that person when you have that. And it doesn't need to be a boundary with them. I'm not going to these people, nor do I think you should go to these people and, most of the time and say, hey,
Yeah.
look, I love you. But like, no. You just set that boundary with yourself. I'm going to have these conversations. I'm going to stay within my integrity. I'm going to clear my energy after the fact. And it can help shift them, obviously if they're energetically ready for it, but it can help shift them to where they need to be too.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point. You don't need to tell anybody. You don't need
No,
to tell anybody to cord cut. And again, it's not a reflection of the relationship. It doesn't end the relationship. It just stops you from receiving their bullshit when they're not taking care of their bullshit.
right.
You can still be talking to them all day without them even knowing you've cord cut. It's just,
Mhm.
and usually people do feel it. I mean,
Yeah.
people do feel it. But it's just for you and taking care of yourself and one of those things. So I hope you guys got something juicy out of this. I'm so glad we could get together today. And where can people find you?
You can, the easiest way, it's Heather.Mayo, Instagram or TikTok or that new one. You're on there too. Threads, still trying to figure out that thing. I don't know what the hell
I
we're
don't
doing.
want any more new ones.
I know, but here
I'm
we are
done.
cutting the cord with social media in a healthy way.
For sure.
So Heather.Mayo or just heathermayo.com. You can find the links to my book, my podcast, all that stuff there.
And I will have everything in the bio in the episode details. And you can find me at NicoleEaton.com and NicoleEaton.xo. We'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Make sure to keep an eye out for my latest book, Rock Your Comeback, The Down to Earth Guide to Reclaiming Your Power, out this summer. I'd love to connect with you. Make sure to follow me on Instagram or TikTok at NicoleEaton.xo. Thanks for listening to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to take on the world. Now go step back into your power. The world's been waiting for you. But first, if you could, leave me a review or share with a friend. Thank you.